the depth and magnitude of the technical difficulties that are possible when doing podcasts or anything really is pretty amazing. Hey, Colleen.
Good morning. We just had a really fun, like, sci-fi sound, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, well, that, generally in a movie, that's like a not good sound. And, and here, it was a not good sound, too.
Yeah. It was almost like some sort of a laser gun or they're cutting off the air supply to the part of the ship.
But it was started out and then just sort of faded. You're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
No, not what you want to hear. I'd play it for you, but then we'd go away.
Yeah.
So we're rebooting my computer. So it's November 22nd. We're going to call this the Thank God for Sex show, or I'm thankful for sex. Something like that. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm very fond of sex.
Sex is good.
Yeah, it is good. Yes.
Yeah, so the Great Northern Sex Cast, getting close to the end of our second year. Unbelievable. Been doing this a while, and it's amazing. I said to you as we're walking, and God, Colleen, I found some really interesting stuff. Every week, I mean, there's no shortage of stuff that surprises me. And you think it's people have been doing this throughout existence, so how could it be new? Oh, I got some stuff.
You got some new? Okay, I'm good for new because I was Googling, tidbits for the newsletter, and I discovered that many people, and maybe we'll talk about this next week. We'll look it up. There are lots of tips and tricks for having sex in your parents' home when you're visiting them over the holidays. So
really,
yeah.
Did you pick up anything good?
I've never actually had the opportunity to do that, so I don't know. But so we might have to, we'll have to put it out there and see if folks have any, and we'll come back, next. Oh, we have a guest next week, but yeah. I just thought it was fascinating. And I'm like, there's like a lot of hits on this concept. It's not what I was looking for, but that's what I found, and I'm assuming that that's sort of what happens when you go down the internet rabbit hole. Mm-hmm.
And it is a rabbit hole. Mm-hmm. There is absolutely no question about that whatsoever. Yeah, when you said not next week, that's because the Minnesota AIDS Project is coming in. And tell me why. Okay, I'm setting up an interview that we're going to do with Ducky Doolittle. Tell me, and we're going to do that for January?
Yeah, January.
Okay, So that's really excited. I'm really looking forward. That's going to be a wealth of different topics. So that's going to be, and we're going to have a special feature along with that too, right?
Yeah, Ducky's working with a company. Well, she's worked with a lot of different companies in the sexual health industry, but she's working with their current company, Blush.
Okay.
And I have just been... I know people use this word a lot, but I'm just thrilled. I mean, absolutely thrilled with this line. Really? And we've been bringing it in and bringing more in, and she's working with them. And it's just nice to, I know why I like the products. And so but it'd be really nice. It's nice to hear why someone who's been in the sexual health industry dealing with the products in an education more of, than a sales, education role that I'm in, why she likes this company.
Okay.
And we're going to be dealing with it. And she does a lot of seminars all over in a lot of different times. We haven't really talked about, or, I know we're emailing back and forth as to what we want to talk about, but if folks have questions, they can certainly private message us on the Great Northern Sex Cast Facebook page, and we can get to those.
What kind of, she sent us this huge list of things she's qualified, but give people an idea of what they could ask her about.
Well, people like, I've never had an orgasm, or how do you talk to your partner about fantasies, or people are always curious about how to negotiate anal sex. There's just relationships and, the use of sex toys, or how for them not to be intimidating. I mean, there's a lot of different things that she goes into. And one of the things I asked her, and, hopefully we're talking about, is that even for folks that are comfortable talking about sex, there's always a little subset when someone's an educator, and I find this myself, that folks... You ask them questions, then you realize they're really asking another question. Mm-hmm. And so how to artfully get to what they really, make them feel comfortable asking what they really want.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it goes through there. So like I said, we're going, just started the process of getting it scheduled, and we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm more than willing to adjust any conversation to any, questions that folks might have.
Perfect. Okay. Well, sounds good. I mean, and she's got a humongous, area of expertise. And obviously very, very, amenable to sharing,
because,
and
she's local. She's from here.
Oh, really?
So there's a lovely Midwestern ethic too. So she really she gets you guys. She gets us.
Well, do you want to? You've brought something else in. Are you ready to do live now, or do you want to?
No, yeah, I can hit the button. Since everyone, I don't know whether folks loved the toy I brought in or my cleavage, but I don't really care either way. It doesn't really make any difference to me. I brought in, and I'm going to hit.
Colleen.
Yeah, I'm going to get hit the live here. 3, 2, 1. And, hi everyone. Brought in a product that has been around for a little bit, but we weren't quite sure whether to bring it in because it's a little differently shaped than a lot of other things we have.
Okay.
And it did well in our New Jersey stores. Okay. It was the Cosmopolitan magazine, a few other places have featured it. It's shown up in other venues, and we actually started getting requests, which is not something that generally happens at the Minnesota Fantasy Gift stores. People are not that into what everybody else is into or need a brand name. But what I'm talking about is an item called the Tryst, and it's from Doc Johnson, which is lovely too because they're an American company. They make the majority of their products in the United States. And it's a lovely, lovely and multi-use, multi-gendered vibrator. And what I really like about it, first of all, I have to learn how to open up the box.
It looks sort of like an artsy horseshoe.
It does.
With little horns.
What's really pleasant about this is that if you look at a lot of folks sometimes and are intimidated by a vibrator that is too large or penis-shaped, it thinks it's a substitution or anything like that. But this item is not only for men or women. It can be used as a couple's toy too. Okay. And what's really nice about it is that it's got 3 motors in it.
That little thing?
Yeah, there's a motor down here.
Okay.
And there's a motor in each 2 of the ends.
No kidding. Okay, so
if you
wow.
Yeah, and they're controlled separately too. So you can decide, and each of them have 6 or 7 different things. And what's really fun is there we go. You've got different things here. So there's a lot of stimulation here.
Okay.
Then you can turn it on over here, and there's stimulation down at the bottom. There's fast to slow. There's pulsating. There's a whole bunch of different things on there. But what's really nice about this is the way that you can use it as a couple or together, because this could be used as a cock ring. If you put it over your penis, you can stimulate.
Look at that.
Testicles, clitoris, as a couple's use.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, it can be used that way.
And for the podcast listeners, you got to go to the Great Northern Sex Cast Facebook page. You can see what Colleen, because if you look at this thing, it is not immediately obvious what you're supposed to do with it.
Oh, and it can also be used as a G-spot device, because you could insert.
Okay.
And it goes in there. It's going through there, but I would not use this as an anal toy. It doesn't have a large enough flange on it. So that you could use it body stimulation anywhere that you have, that you want to put it. And it's lovely. And you could change it if someone wants it pulsating here or solid here. You can change all of the different toys. See?
Silicone? Is it silicone?
Oh, yeah, it's silicone.
Okay.
It's a USB rechargeable. It was really, we weren't sure about it. Mm-hmm. And then we just started getting requests. And you know what? I'm going to listen to my customers.
Absolutely. How much is it?
It is, I think, I forgot that. That's $109.95.
Okay, so not bad.
It's silicone. It's water resistant. There's going to be Doc Johnson put out a lovely video. No words or anything like that. No sound or whatever, just sort of slides. And we're going to be putting that, Sarah right now is putting it on it's going on our website right now.
Okay.
And down in the more information thing, you'll see their video on it. So you have a more explanation of what's going on. Excuse me.
No problem.
It comes in purple and black, which is fun because if you look at this packaging right here, notice it is black and gray. Mm-hmm. So I was unpacking a box of them and went, oh my God, they forgot to put them in, not knowing that they get
because it looked like that. That's
They're
funny.
like, Colleen, it's black. I'm like, oh, it is.
Double take.
So that's one of the reasons I brought the purple one.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's called Tryst. And like I said, it's got, each of the motors has 7 different things going on. The base and the arms work separately. It takes about 2 hours to charge for 1 hour of play. And you can put it right into it's got a USB port. It's silicone. It's water resistant. And I think it's really versatile. And I think it's a really non-threatening item. It's not too big.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons it's probably, we've sold a few even on our partner website before we had them in the stores. Now, what happened is that definitely go online if you're curious about it. They did not send us our display pieces. I think they were back ordered and we didn't get a lot of them in.
Okay.
So they are going out to the stores this week or next.
Okay.
You might want to call beforehand or just, like I said, Sarah's putting it online. So if you're interested, you can just order it online and we'll grab it right out of the warehouse and send it to you.
Okay. Wow. That is a really interesting piece.
Yeah. I mean, when like we said, the last week when we did this, it was a really popular thing. We got a lot of views and everyone was like, well, you should do this. You should do this. I said, you guys, I've got like 8 minutes. That's all I want to do because nobody wants to listen to that much more. So I'm going to say goodbye right now. I'll get back to the rest of the podcast.
Okay.
But it's called Tryst. It's from Doc Johnson. I'm really excited about it being in.
Yeah. It's a really quality looking piece. Okay.
There we go.
This is we've got so many things. Cracks me up. You turn on the sex toy, right? It's buzzing. I spent the first 5 minutes trying to get the buzzing out.
Just thought
to do that. Then yeah.
Totally correct him. I have no idea whether I actually hit the video right there. Who knows what in the world at the end of the video is, but we'll just see what's going through there.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to check it out.
It'll be a joy.
Wow. A lot of stuff in the news this week. This one is interesting. Got to give points for creative use of both spoofing and alliteration.
I love alliteration.
I love alliteration too. So a student organization at the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, staged a shit-in. Not a sit-in, but a shit-in. Now, you might wonder what could be the subject of this. Well, it has to do with transgender bathrooms. Mm-hmm. So a group called the Gender Liberation Union occupied a majority of bathroom stalls at the administration building. They were trying to get university officials to give more than lip service, so to speak, to the rights of trans students. So what they did is they blocked stalls. And they did keep one open for people that, worked in the building to get to, but you'd have to stand in this really long line, but they'd be in all of these stalls and you just see picture after picture of just feet with pants down in all of the stalls. And so they wanted to change the signage of one bathroom on each floor so that students of all genders and orientation could feel comfortable using those. And they believe that they have gotten some progress there. And I thought this was an interesting line. They said, we want a third space that does not have cultural or gender surveillance. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
You know what? Everybody on this planet pees and everybody on this planet poops. Mm-hmm. And the sooner that folks get over the idea that there's something, different about how anyone else does it, or is it just, people just need to eliminate waste. I mean, but you go in, you get in your stall, you do it, you wash your damn hands because the amount of people. Oh, first of all, flush. I'm sorry, ladies, flush the damn toilet. Mm-hmm. Pisses me off. Mm-hmm. Go through there, and then wash your hands. And just it's all your folks are doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody, and people want to spend as little time in a public restroom as possible. Just get in, get the hell out.
Me too.
And it's just, this whole thing is quite a distraction from real issues, wedge and stuff like that. And it's just frustrating. Well,
the University of Massachusetts students think, they said they got a positive forward-moving response from the administration within 2 days.
Yep.
So there you go, a shit-in. In other collegiate nudity, this is funny. They're talking about college rivalries, and this one actually is Harvard-Yale. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of college football, I don't think of those two schools generally. Do you? No. Ohio State, Michigan, maybe. Auburn, Alabama.
I'm a U of M grad. I went to, some football games when they were at the Dome years ago. I didn't see the point. I mean, if I was interested in watching football, watching on TV is a lot more interesting.
Oh my gosh.
You can't see anything. You can't hear anything.
Ski UMA people are so upset with you right now.
Look, I treasure my degree. I did learn things, but maybe it was the Dome. I mean, I think maybe if it had been at the old, the old stadium or something like that, there would have been something that was the University of Minnesota-y about it. Yeah, I don't.
Well, you
now
know,
my niece and nephew have gone to some games. They go to the U now, and they have a good old time. And I think that moving it off of campus, and when they tore down the old stadium, and when I was there, it just really lost something.
yeah. Well, I went to a Gopher game at the bank, and boy, that was neat. I mean, that is a stunning stadium. Number one, have you been to anything there?
During the what was it, the baseball all-star game, there we go, they had that free concert there for the whatever, and I took my daughter, and we went because there was someone playing that she liked or something like that. How interesting. And I went, okay, I can see, I mean, this seems like college to me.
Yeah.
The Dome did not.
No, the Dome, I'm sorry. I God rest its soul, but the Dome was a terrible place to watch sports. It just sucked.
Well, they appropriated the money for it. That was millions under what was needed. And then so, well, screw it. We're going to build it anyway. And then that's what we got.
Yeah. No, go to the bank and watch a college football game there. It'll change your, but I know you have a thing about football, but this particular game, back to Harvard Yale.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
We're
total distraction.
Basically, they actually delayed the game by stripping. Students got naked in the stands. And it's cold. I mean, so I'm kind of fascinated by this. But they basically said it's a long-standing tradition that they have called the Saybrook Strip. And they got so rowdy and so very naked. And I'm talking totally
So in
naked.
other words, it is like how many more Harvard students versus Yale students get naked? I mean, what's the
Unclear.
okay, so the purpose of this is unclear other than to be
Rowdy
and naked.
Pretty much.
You know what? I don't really have a problem with that.
I don't either.
No,
actually.
because honestly, you're in a place like that. It's a safe place to be stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's important that there are safe places to be stupid.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
I'll go with that. I like it. In other naked news, this is something else. And I've got links to all this, of course. I say this every week, but Miss Megan will put this up. You have got to get a load of this calendar from France of farmers. Farmers, okay?
Are they doing that discreet thing? Or
no, I mean, they're just like, are you kidding me? I mean, and the pictures go, they're not full frontal nudity, but they are so, I almost think they're more provocative than if they were fully naked. I mean, just insane.
I like the naked, but I also like the intrigue. There's a little bit of both. I mean, it doesn't have to always be naked or always be covered. Variety.
Yeah,
it's good.
These guys are just stunning. I mean, they're just absolutely amazing looking. And you can't Photoshop the stuff that we're seeing in here. Okay, these are beautiful men. I mean, from head to toe. Check that out. This next one is Colleen's looking for it. She's got
it. Sorry.
Did you find it?
No.
Did you find it yet?
I'm like, you know what? It's cold and gray and rainy out. And so I think that I will...
this is a hot calendar. It's a lot. You can, if you want to hang it.
Okay, the next generation of French food is being grown by lovely, lovely men.
Yes.
Oh my God, the one with the long hair?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know, right? Check it out. It's remarkable. And it's there's all sorts of snapshots, and I'm sure that the sales are going through the roof.
Oh, those are some happy cows, I bet. Okay.
Come into my coop, baby. Okay, so this is funny. Have you done live TV before? Ever?
You know what? I don't think that it was live.
Taped.
I worked at the Renaissance Festival for about a zillion years. I ended up on a lot of cameras out there.
Yep.
But whether or not any of it was live, I don't know.
Okay. Well, if live TV is interesting, it's more interesting than live radio because at least people can't see you. So here's this anchor out of Seattle. Her name is Casey Atchison, and they were, Google's got this new thing called Quick Draw. It's an artificial intelligence game. So Google will serve up something that you're supposed to draw. And so she's standing on live TV in front of a touch screen, right? And so the computer tells you to try to draw something, and then you start drawing it, and then the computer tries to guess what it is. It's almost like playing Pictionary against the computer, okay? Why that sounded fun.
But if it tells you what to draw, how does it
I'm sure that there's a Chinese wall. It's not telling the other chip inside there so that it's
okay. I know that probably works, but I'm not all that technical.
Okay.
With the advanced, but
so the object that came up, it was random, was a cannon. So she starts drawing a cannon, and it looks just like a penis. And the video of this is precious. She loses it. It is so funny. And I think the computer's kind of finishing it for her a little bit. Oh my God, Colleen, you've got to watch this video. But I mean, I felt sorry for her, but she's cracking up so bad. And then, because
the cannon and then the wheelbase and then, I
mean, right? Okay. Just saying.
Yeah, see, that would be something that if I was on live TV, that I would probably have in my contract that I draw nothing. Zippo, never, ever. I will not be doing drawing. I so suck at it.
Well, I wouldn't mind drawing singing, though. Don't you even...
Oh, I'll sing horribly. I don't care about that, but my drawing skills are, just...
That bad?
Oh.
Wow, okay. Anytime anybody commits a crime naked, I'm all over it, and this one is not out of Florida, surprisingly.
Well, it's much warmer there. I can understand why. It makes more sense. I mean, really, naked crimes right now in Minnesota, it's sleety and rainy and gray, and I'm just like, hurry up and dry, because what it is making crap ton of potholes.
Oh, right on. Mm-hmm. This is Baltimore. So not quite as cold as here, but not exactly balmy.
No.
So this guy breaks into a place called Slice Pizza, and he came in through an air vent, which getting my head around that method of entry always freaks me out, because think about that. I mean, the claustrophobia involved in doing that would be insane.
They're vertical. There are sharp edges, because you might use the sealant on the outside, but you're not inside for those edges.
Tetanus much? Right. Okay. So he gets in there. And so the surveillance tape reveals, I should say, this guy comes in, takes off his clothes.
Oh, so he comes in and he doesn't get naked until he's inside.
I know, but you could still get torn up.
I know. Okay. But even so
he at least had some wrapping on when he came in. Okay. So he goes and damages a vent hood, which, what did a vent hood ever do to you? Like, really? I mean, it's an innocuous kind of thing. And cash registers, maybe trying to rob those. He did not eat any pizza. He didn't take any dough. He just got a bottled water. Yeah. Yeah. So they came in and they saw this all. The place was kind of trashed. And they went to the video and they see this guy with his own sausage and meatballs swinging around. And they're like looking around, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh God, that thing was loose and out in the open here in the restaurant. Can you even imagine trying to have to sanitize the place to do business?
There's a lot of cleaning and do it that way.
Not good. Feel good story here
good.
From Texas. So apparently, and I put this in quotes, a Christian family was eating dinner at Snuffer's Restaurant and Bar. And they were talking about how disgusted they were after learning their, quote, liberal nephew had come out as gay. And a lesbian woman was sitting at the table next to them and overheard the entire thing. You're going to love this story. This is brilliant. She goes over and paid for their meal, unbeknownst to them, and wrote them a note, which I'll read to you in just a minute, and left before they knew that it had been paid for. So they went up, and she said, "Happy holidays from the very gay, very liberal table sitting next to you. Jesus made me this way. P.S. Be accepting of your family." So she posted it. She took a picture of it, and it exploded on Facebook, and it's trending, and the comments are all pretty good. But if you're going to protest or, I can't think of a better way to go about it than what this gal did.
Yeah, I mean, there are times when I feel that shame is not an appropriate thing to use, but I think this is a case in similar stuff like that where it does work. I don't think it probably changed any mind, but it may have made a tiny crack. You know what I mean?
It certainly made an impression.
Yeah, I mean, it's going through there, and it's difficult for folks. They have their widely, held beliefs, you grasp onto something that you've been, her life. I mean, to let go of that is really, really difficult. And to have someone do something that says, here's a person you hate just did a nice thing. It makes the
jams
brain,
their systems.
makes the brain cells, a lot of them can dismiss it, but there's going to be a few that it pokes at. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, that everything, every little bit helps.
I think so too. And I mean, just think about this. I mean, we're talking about it here and it's gone out through social media. And I think that the more people start talking about this sort of thing, the appeal of this type of behavior can possibly grow. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, just, I think, to get someone to accept that another human is human is, I mean, I can't believe that we're still at that step in some places, but you just keep going forward.
I think, Colleen, with regard to that, I mean, I think we're always going to have something else that's going to rise up in society. And no matter how far we evolve in how many different ways, the same stuff I think that's been around throughout the millennia is going to keep popping up. I mean, don't you kind of feel like that a little bit? We evolve, but
well, folks like humans like to be right, whether they're not or not. Oh,
that's true.
And so I'm not sure how we can get evolution to evolve us into accepting human beings, but I guess you just keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she did her share. I liked it.
By the way, I found the picture of the farmer holding a little piglet too.
I know, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
That's the last one. Yeah. Colleen, put the phone down.
Okay. Phone's...
Did you hear the clunk? Thank you. I need you present here. We got shit to talk about.
But it's a little teeny piglet. Actually, honestly, the piglet's really cute.
I know, the piglet's adorable. I know, I want one. This one was a new one on me.
Okay.
So I love the first paragraph of this. I'm going to read it to people. It says, sexuality has gotten a whole lot more complicated than in your grandpa's day when it could be summed up by a plug and an electrical socket. Now there are so many wonderful sexualities to choose from, like pansexual, lunar sexual, and I just made it up, but you're a bigot if you say it's a fake sexual. So this writer's funny. But this article is actually about EcoSexuals. And this is sort of a combination between a political statement and performance art, I guess you would say. Because this is this is a Sydney Art Festival that's occurring right now, and this is an exhibit. So it's showing participants the wonders of quote unquote ecosexuality by letting them shove their arms through compost glory holes, stroke flowers with condoms on their fingers, and plenty of other weird things, believing that they can save the environment by fucking it. So but there's some really funny stuff, but some of the pictures are actually very kinky looking. And we'll post the article so that you can look at some of these pictures.
I can see that because you're trying to take two things that you're trying to make, if folks won't pay attention to the earth, maybe they will pay attention to the sex part of it and click on it and learn something, whatever it takes to get people to realize, that the planet's going to be fine, but if we don't take care of it, the humans are not going to be. So,
well, the founders of the ecosexuality movement are Beth Stevens and one Annie Sprinkle. And the two of them publicly married the soil back in 2014. So happy 2-year anniversary to Annie, Beth, and the soil.
Oh, yeah, that definitely is performance art.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty damn funny.
I like it.
I know, EcoSexuals. I'm like, okay, that's a new one for me. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff going on. Oh, this is kind of an honorable mention sort of story. There's a guy, he hails originally from Boulder, Colorado, but he now lives and works in journalism in Mexico City. And he discovers, it's a really interesting story. Okay. He discovers his neighbor is a prostitute. And the way he meets her, and I guess, Wi-Fi can work differently in different parts of the world. But it sounds like there's some sort of a community Wi-Fi situation in this building that they live in.
And it's not, and she didn't pass for it's an open thing.
Well, or he needed to partner up with someone else in the building, and he meets her, and then all of a sudden the realization of what she really does, and it's all the observations. There's cultural stuff in here. It's very interesting read. So I just wanted to throw that out there for people because I thought it was, really compelling. Really compelling.
I can see that probably with a lot of preconceived ideas because you don't know, and then you know, and then you have to reconcile what you see and what you know, and
Yeah.
that a lot of parallels to life in general.
Well, there's a whole section where he talks about how she's appears ageless, but that's because she's had so much plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And she, he says she's making herself into a work of art, but then on the other hand, it's a little bit freaky. But speaking of the password protection, her password was solo por dinero, only for money. And that was his first clue. Yeah. So no, check it out. It's pretty interesting. And it kind of gives you a snapshot too into an American living in Mexico City, which I think I've never been there. I'd like to go someday. But yeah, it looks pretty interesting. I see this stuff and I try not to click it. And most of the time it never makes it to the show. Okay. But
well, mainly because you need like 5 clicks just to get to the first paragraph.
well, there's that. And
really?
or 15 minutes between the slides to get to the next slide.
Oh yeah,
Don't you hate those?
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to take a look at the ads, let me get to the content. I mean, I get how it works. I'm not unopposed. It just needs to be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, no problem. I get it. And so sex superfoods. And how many times have we heard this? And then I started reading the list. I'm like, blah, 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 oysters, blah, 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 chocolate. Okay, but this one had a little more meat, if you will, to it. So I'm gonna bring up some of these because there's a little why behind the.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and I like this. I thought this was interesting.
Not just anecdotal, historical, Don Juan ate oysters, so therefore everybody should crap. Okay.
Yes. So for red wine, they pointed out it's the antioxidants that can then create nitrous oxide in your blood, which is better circulation. We all know what happens when the blood goes to the right places. So I'm like, okay, I like that. Dark chocolate is basic serotonin and dopamine by eating it. Okay, not to. Oysters, it's not just the Don Juan and the legend and the fact that they're creepily sexual looking. Zinc, again, is something that promotes sexual health. And it has to do with your blood.
And not just sunscreen. Okay.
Right. Bananas, and not just for showing how to demonstrate condom.
Condoms?
Right. No. It's the potassium to counteract sodium in your system, which also helps your circulation. Bananas.
And also would help you with cramping, because really, the foot cramp or the thigh cramp, the hip cramp.
When your foot folds in half.
Oh, my God. Oh, there is, everything's going real well, and suddenly, oh, my God.
Charlie horse.
Nothing. Oh, my God.
I know.
I mean, it's just, so frustrating.
Oh, my God, that's funny. Fatty fish. So salmon was mentioned. Omega-3s. Are great for the circulation and everything else, but they also produce dopamine. Okay. Figs are ugly looking.
Figs have dead wasps in them. The
all of the figs?
I don't know if all the figs do, but I know that several figs inside whatever are the male wasp, and that's where they die. But they're very, very tiny.
Oh, okay. So just move the dead bug over and eat the fruit anyway.
You can't see it. It sort of works into it. I don't know. I read this once, and I never really liked figs, and so it didn't really. But I'm just like, really?
Oh God. Yeah. And I like dried figs. I've never had a fresh fig before. Okay, well, they have antioxidants, flavonoids, fiber, and potassium, and those are all
flavonoid.
Flavonoids.
That sounds like something that would be like in a spree candy or something.
I know, it does sound bad. But those are all promoting of sexual arousal. Watermelon. Did you know about watermelon?
Well, I know that if you plug in it and stick a bottle of vodka in it, it can be really tasty later on, which I haven't done like in 30 years. But yeah.
Speaking of which, I did see a sign recently that said vodka is just fun water. I think I need that. But no, watermelon has lycopene. And that can, they say, can be just like Viagra when it comes to relaxing blood vessels and ensuring that blood reaches the groin region. Watermelon. Who knew? I did not know that. Did you?
I did not know that.
I know. See, I told you this was a better article.
I like it, yeah.
Ginger.
I like the wise.
Ginger.
Oh, ginger's yummy.
Does that make sense?
Oh, I love ginger.
Well,
I'm assuming it has something to do with blood, right?
Yeah, circulation specifically in the loins, and they cite the fact that it's used in Ayurvedic medicine, and it also has historically been subscribed as a cure for impotence, which I did not know. I'm going to start
Well, yeah, I mean, I just tend to use it when I have an upset stomach. So maybe, just stock up on the ginger ale.
Yeah. Well, ginger
Or ginger beer.
Oh,
or ginger
God.
for the fried. Oh,
Do you like Moscow mules?
not really.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like too many flavors. I like them both. I don't want them together.
Okay. Fair enough. Green vegetables, but specifically spinach. The magnesium decreases blood vessel inflammation and helps with circulation. And broccoli also is a circulation promoter, which helps with arousal.
So in other words, a lot of fruit and veggies, and you get it up more.
Pretty much.
And in other words, healthy. No, you're not clogging up your arteries.
Indeed.
And you're keeping your brain happy.
Yeah.
A lot of this has to do with, I noticed, keeping your brain happy too.
Brain and circulation is really a lot of it. And the last one is green tea, circulation once again.
Oh,
You
you know
don't like
what? I cannot. It's like socks. I'm sorry. It tastes dusty. Maybe I've had bad green tea and I like tea.
Yeah.
Your dark teas and stuff like that. A crap ton of lemon. No milk or anything like that. But green tea just tastes dusty.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't know. I can't get my brain around it.
this just reminded me of do you ever go to the Big Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while. I mean, I used to eat there a lot, and then after a while, okay, I'm not in the mood for that flavor right now.
Yeah,
But I
it's
love the
been
fact
years.
that I can get the beef and the tofu and everything in the big bowl and just shove all the vegetables in it.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you go to the Big Bowl, be sure and get a scoop and got to have one of each, okay? 1 scoop of the ginger ice cream and 1 scoop of the green tea. Actually, they might even be sherbets, but the two together, it is an orgasm in a bowl. Okay. So since we're talking about this, I just want to share that with everybody. And the Big Bowl does not, have a clue that I'm saying this, but it is, and it's been a million years since I've been there, but it's incredibly good. I have to mention something, bringing it down just a little bit. So, dishonorable mention this week, Roger Ailes, once again. I think we talked about Gretchen Carlson, former Fox personality.
Yes, like
$20 million.
$20 million.
Yeah, and who knows, she has yet to reemerge yet. And she's originally from Minnesota and a former Miss America. But now others are coming forward in droves after Ailes got, of course, his golden parachute and just an unbelievably kind exit from somebody who sounds like left a trail of really awful destruction behind him. So Megyn Kelly, the ball-busting beauty lawyer chick, just came out with a book. She accused him in her book, talked about that. But another one, very compelling, a gal named Lori Loon, and she was a booker for Fox. She worked there for 20 years, and she specifically worked in the area and around Roger Ailes, and tells of being forced, or so she felt forced into actual acts. Megyn Kelly just says that he tried things, but this woman, it sounds like she felt like if she didn't, her job would be, gone. And
it's frustrating, and I know that folks go, "Oh, I didn't say anything," and because the women get trashed and they don't get believed, and they do lose their ability to make a living, and they have children and families and folks they have to feed. But I think we're probably at a tipping point where women are going to be believed more than they're not. At least that's my hope.
mine too. Mine
It's
too.
going through there.
But it's just really disgusting. And especially in broadcasting. I mean, there's a line that in an excerpt that I read with Megyn Kelly. It's apparently when she refused him at one point, he said, "So when's your contract up?" And it's like, and those contracts are so brutal. And I've had to sign many myself. And what happens is if you, even if they don't want you, even if they fire you, you're stuck with a non-compete. And like I lost my last broadcast job. It was a year non-compete. They didn't want me. But yet I still couldn't work for a year in this market. It's like bullshit.
Now I know that folks are working against, not arbitration not being allowed in signing contracts, whether it's like getting a credit card or doing stuff like that. And I would think that there would be some way to, and especially with the amount of lawsuits there's going to be, heading towards political figures and stuff like that, that gag orders and non-competes and stuff like that should really be taken a look at. I mean, there are times when it's necessary, but that that there needs to be some sort of middle ground as to where, Gretchen Carlson got $20 million, but she probably can't talk anymore about it. And I'm just not sure that's the way to go. Because you lose, you lose some of your ability to do good when you can't speak.
Well, and here, let me throw something out there, and I'm not saying that I'm for or against this idea, but I'm just wondering if the settlements weren't so huge, like if the settlements were more proportionate to X number of years of your actual paycheck, then, for the trade-off of being able to speak about it rather than a huge windfall. Do you know what I mean? Because the money is so big, it's like they're saying, well, fine, now what am I going to get back? You know what I mean? That's how that crap works. So I don't know.
Yeah, you need, because it's just, folks need to be, someone. Folks start getting jobs again. That might, work out there where they're just going through there. But I mean, honestly, you got to look out for your kids and your family.
You do.
I understand that's why that happens.
But like the equivalent of 10 years worth of, plus the ability to go out there and tell your side of the story, could then, get her the opportunity to get back into business. You know what I mean? Or to her line of work, if you will. Yeah. Not business as though she was doing it on purpose. I thought this was interesting. A story about the mob's role in specifically oral sex in the United States, the mob.
Right?
No. I know. I'm like, okay, really? So blowjobs. Today, they're seen as American as apple pie. But it was, considered, at least in this country where the Puritans showed up, taboo. It was not something, and it usually was discussed in the context of homosexuality, not something that heterosexuals did. So what they're saying is that organized crime, the mob years ushered that into the heterosexual bedrooms. They were the ones that brought it into vogue.
Because they could pretend it wasn't sex.
It doesn't particularly say why, but this
you can't. It's hard to get pregnant. It just it's you could pretend like you're not cheating on your wife,
right?
Okay.
And they cite The Godfather and how the Colombo crime family funded that, and like it was almost like they de facto promoted it. Is what this now? There's more mob references here, but okay. John Dillinger. Here's another one. He was one of the most notorious mobsters ever, and he was public enemy number one for those of you too young during the Great Depression. Well, did you know that his penis is also famous?
No, this.
I know. I was like,
this I have not run across. I mean, I'm reading a book right now about sexual references in the Bible, but I have not gotten to sexual references in organized crime yet.
Okay, well, please bring the biblical ones. That would be fun to talk about. No, so the morgue photo, he's there on the slab, but there's this big old tent where a penis is supposed to be in the morgue. So that's where the rumors about this started. Oh wait, it gets better. And in the years since, this has just proliferated. And now there's this legend that says that the penis was severed and is now somewhere in formaldehyde in the Smithsonian. Okay. So if there could be an artifact sort of conspiracy theory, there you go. Like, what is really in the back rooms behind the employees only signs at the Smithsonian? It could be John Dillinger's dick.
Now, mind you, there are probably hundreds of millions of items that the Smithsonian doesn't even know that they have.
True.
I mean, just, going through, that people find, when they go through all the time, they find that this is actually a different spider, this is a different type of mole rat, or this is a type of bird. They realize when they're looking at it, 150 years later, that it should have been in a different genus or species or whatever the hell it is, right? Mm-hmm. I cannot imagine that someone is going to be going through boxes or jars or tables or something like that, and they're going to run across a human penis in a jar.
Well, if they do, I certainly hope it makes the news. Don't you?
Oh, I can't. In this day and age, I'm pretty sure it would.
And if you're working at the Smithsonian, aren't you going to spend your break time just
look? No,
I would. I would.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, or if they have really interfered. I mean, Smithsonian probably has some sort of interns or something like that. Oh,
I'd be all over that shit if I worked there.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so
that's just absurd.
I know. Here's another weird sexual history fact.
Okay.
Grover Cleveland, aka Grover Big Steve Cleveland. It's not going where you think it's going just because I called him Big Steve. So he wasn't only the only U.S. president to get married while in the White House. He was also the only one to marry his foster daughter. Ew. He married a girl that it was his deceased friend's daughter who he partook in raising since she was 11 years old.
Oh,
I know.
Well, isn't that like half the Victorian?
Pedophilia?
No, but half of the Victorian romance novels is falling in love with your guardian or something like that when you become an orphan. It's a little freaky.
It's gross.
But just it's going through there. But is this the guy that was so big they had to have a custom bathtub?
Could be. He's 250 pounds, big cigar smoking lawyer. And he had a child out of wedlock as well. Apparently, though, once he married this young lady, they had 5 kids together, and he was the only president ever elected to 2 non-consecutive terms. I forgot about that claim to fame. Yeah, he once and then later on, so that's kind of cool. But you know what? It sounds like they actually stayed together. Well, what else are you going to do? Career opportunities were a little slim in 1886, but
different times. I mean, people, there are lots of folks who were under guardianship and stuff like that. And at least, she wasn't like put in an orphan train and shot out west and used as, like indentured servant type stuff.
Yes. Well, and I wouldn't suck living in the White House, although I heard Melania Trump's not going to.
To some extent, I can understand that, because you got, a kid that, uprooting them and stuff like that. But I do feel bad for the blocks around there and the folks in the businesses that are going to be completely upended.
Oh, around Trump Tower?
Yeah. I mean, are they going to have to make people leave their homes? I mean, how does that work?
I've been wondering that since they've been using that as sort of ground zero for everything that they're doing. What's happening to all the people that live and work there? I don't know.
I've been, hands off the little dude, but,
for sure.
But I can't imagine that, she's trying to protect her kid from, the crap storm that's going to be swirling around him. And I get that. And that's a, wonderful thing to do. But honestly, I don't know if New York is the place to do that.
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean,
I think the inconvenience to everybody else. I mean, you really got to take a look at that.
Yeah. I think it'd be really hard for this, like an incredible feat for the Secret Service to.
I mean, they're perfectly capable of it and they're going to do great and the little dude's going to be fine. And I do wish him well and all that sort of stuff because he does have an incredible opportunity to meet and do some things like the other presidential kids have that you just don't normally get to do. So that's pretty awesome for him.
Yeah, it absolutely could be. You know what I did not realize about him? I mean, I've never heard him say a word, but when they yanked him out onto the stage the night that Trump claimed victory, and I saw him on camera, but I just thought, oh, he looks like really shell-shocked or something. Well, what I didn't realize was they dragged the poor little guy out of bed to make him come stand, put on a suit and come stand there. And he was like nodding off. And now once you know that and you go back and look at it, he can't keep his eyes open. I know.
I mean, he probably has. My guess is he's 10 years old. He's got a bedtime and it was way past his bedtime.
I know. I felt bad for him. But you know what? It's funny. It'll be interesting to see what the Obama daughters do. They have been, I mean, you'd see them every once in a while, and they were always really cute and never did anything annoying at all. And it'll be interesting to see what those two go on to do because they're going to stay to let the one finish school, which makes sense. I get that. Yeah. I think it would suck to make them leave at, after all that.
Yank them out your junior years. That's tough.
Yeah.
And especially, I mean, they don't need to.
No.
So, it's not.
I know somebody was talking about this on TV. Well, it'll be the first president not to go back to his home state. It's like, The kid is like you said, junior year. Screw that. Let her finish with her friends.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. You look at, what's best for the kid, which is what they should be, looking at right here.
Absolutely. Okay, speaking of presidents, I thought this was a fun way to sort of wrap up today, Colleen. Tricky Dick. I did not realize that he set out to do one thing and had it backfired, like, so many politicians do. But back in 1972, he kind of started a war on porn, which we later learned was to run interference for the shit he was pulling behind the scenes. But I digress there.
Yes, it's always a distraction.
Of course.
Look over here.
Right. And tapping into, the more conservative way that people were still thinking back then, even though it was a few years after the Summer of Love yet. But yeah, it was Deep Throat, which I didn't realize the correlation here. So Deep Throat was the alias for the informant on the Watergate gate thing, but it was also a joke because the movie Deep Throat was out, and he was demanding that all of the film houses that were playing Deep Throat be shut down and the actors and filmmakers arrested. Remember that? Or have you read about this?
I've read about it. Yes, remembering it. Yeah, it would have been about. What year was that?
72.
Yeah, I would have been 7. So
me too.
Not so much.
I know, but in the years, it's kind of fun to read about. But
I knew there was the correlation over there. It was just to bust him.
But this came out 1 week before the big Washington Post story broke that set in motion the historic events which had him resign the presidency. So this guy wrote this book, and his name is Robert Rosen, and he's sort of a chronologist of the porn industry. And so he said that instead of Nixon's attempt had exactly the opposite of the intended effect, which it sent people to go see Deep Throat in droves. I mean, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. People want to know what they're being told not to watch.
Yep. so by industry watchers, so to speak, like this Rosen guy, he said, we all thank him for bringing porn into the mainstream. Isn't that hilarious? Like, kind of in a weird. I did not know that was together.
The unintended consequences of fussing about sexual and social media things usually is the opposite of what you want,
right?
Because it usually exposes your hypocrisy, or it makes people more interested, or they realize, hey, I'm not the only one who's curious about this.
Right.
The wife, if you really, really don't like something, you should just shut the hell up.
Yeah.
But nobody will.
Yeah. Well, I think,
like I said, that it doesn't work for. I mean, we're not talking about being against nuclear waste, but when it comes to, but when but when you're talking about like the personal, private habits of people, when you shine the spotlight on them, all you do is you show that to the other person, hey, I'm not alone. And it's going through there, which is lovely. So folks can jump up and down and do all this sort of stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons we have marriage equality right now. People, tried to use it as a wedge issue, and what it really got was the, actually, honestly, why should someone marry the way that they wanted?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a resounding, defeat of that bill here in Minnesota. I thought this was interesting too. Also mentioned in this book, that this guy and it's called, what is it called? Beaver.
Well, it has the word beaver in it. So that's
Beaver Street.
Okay.
Beaver Street, A History of Modern Pornography, if you want to check it out. And we'll have a link to the article about this too. But here's what I did not realize, but all of the political crusades that sprang from Nixon's quote unquote war on porn before he was driven from office in shame, culminated in a 1973 Supreme Court ruling. Have you ever heard of the Miller test?
Yeah, okay.
This is the guidelines for determining what constitutes obscenity. Okay? So check this out. Now this is going to crack you up. It says the content is protected by free speech if the average person applying contemporary community standards finds it acceptable.
See, that's the thing about contemporary community standards.
I know.
And every second that goes forwards, those contemporary standards are changed. But the only thing that you still can't have sex with someone tied up. People still panic over that. There hasn't been a case that's been won yet, and I'm assuming it will be eventually. But to some extent, it doesn't need to be, because if you're consenting adults and you're putting on the internet, you're not doing the regular distribution or the U.S. mail or anything like that, and so none of the stuff that they can go after you out is as valid.
Interesting.
But which I just find, totally, interesting that this is still a thing that just tends to freak people out the most. And when I say people, I mean uptight, community standards vigilantes. Not actual normal people who are enjoying sex.
Well, let's make a quick parallel here between the proliferation of swear words, even now coming into regular television. Even not all cable is pay television, but non-premium channels. So like I know TNT, I've heard swear words, and I've heard it on probably USA and a couple, definitely on FX for sure. They've had a lot of, great series, but broadcast television has expanded, but they are still licensed by the FCC. Whereas these other ones they don't have to do whatever, but they've chosen not to drop F-bombs and things like that yet. Now, premium channels, the lid's completely off.
Oh yeah. I watched some of that, and I'm just, really, there's not too much, I think, other than, in things involving children that pretty much anyone could agree on at this point when you talk about contemporary standards, which is appropriate, because it's in the internet, it's pretty much anything goes, and so it's been quite how do you regulate someone who anyone with a computer has a store right in their own home?
Pretty much.
What's the zoning there?
Good point. Good point. Good point. Colleen.
It's interesting.
No, it is. So all of this, as always, will go up on the Great Northern Sexcast Facebook page. Check out the Tryst. I think I'm going to have to go get one of those fairly immediately, because it's really different. I've never seen anything quite like it. And Colleen did a great video here. So look on our Facebook page. And next week, the Minnesota AIDS Project joins.
Sounds great. See you next week.
Yeah.